Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So anyway, let's just get to it. At the back we have pull tabs. Now I'm gonna be honest, they are usually useless from Samsung, because they can't even figure this out. So you know what, I'm just gonna go like this. And like this. That's much better. And popping it open, we have the huge tablet right here. There we go. I'm gonna boot it up. Okay, so while it's turning on, I'm gonna set it to the side, and inside of the box we also have a pen for this. You can call that a pen. Weight wise it's more like a pencil, and we got a cable. There we go. Now by the looks of it, this is actually a pretty long cable compared to what you typically get, and some paperwork, which I'm not even gonna go into. Throwing that to the ground, let's take a look at the tablet itself. And probably the first thing that you'll see is the gargantuan display with relatively small bezels. So this gargantuan display is a 14.6 inch display with a resolution of 1848 by 2960 pixels. It's a dynamic AMOLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus certified, boasts a 90.7% screen to body ratio and a pixel density of 239 pixels per inch. So in terms of the quality of this display, it's pretty good. The fact that it is, well, AMOLED, it's going to give you those nice blocks right here. It also has a relatively thin bezels all around, which are at over 90%, so that's going to look pretty nice. And 120 Hz refresh rate and HDR10 Plus, that's pretty good too. So yeah, no complaints here with the display. The only thing that I have a problem is this disgusting notch right here. But I think at this point it's there as a kind of like a distinction that this is the Ultra version. Now, if we flip it over to the back, we have a dual camera setup right here, and the main sensor is a 13 megapixel f2.0 aperture 26mm wide lens. Then we get an 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture ultra wide lens. And with those cameras, stupidly enough, you can record videos only at 30 frames, both at 4K and 1080p. Which I'm not sure what the Ultra then stands for. It's definitely not Ultra in camera like refresh rate quality. Resolutions also falls apart from the well, at least the same kind of processing power devices. So not sure why they didn't like slap in here just a tad better cameras. And even though they're useless, it is Ultra. It's supposed to be the best of everything. It ain't best of everything if the cameras are 13 megapixel that record videos at 1080p 30 frames. What the hell is that Ultra of? So yeah, that's a bit of an oopsie there. I guess Samsung considered their user base to be completely brain dead, considering they think that this is okay. Maybe Samsung is just brain dead. Anyway, now at the front we also have cameras, and those, and this little notch right here houses dual 12 megapixel f2.2 and f2.4 26mm wide lens and 120 degree ultra wide lens. And again, just like the back cameras, it's capped at 4K 30 and 1080p 30. Again, ultra where? Next, moving on with this, we can talk about the internals. The internals, with the battery, we have an 11,200 mAh battery. It charges at 45 watts with the cable, though there's no charger. Ultra, come on. And even furthermore, this is just little like over 1,000 milliamps bigger than the Plus version. And you can see the comparison. I'm pretty freaking sure that in the space you have right here, you can fit more than 1,000 milliamp hour battery. You can probably double the freaking size. So yeah, so that's a bit of a weirdness happening all around here, I would say. And in terms of thickness, actually, let's see that first. Thickness, they're the exact same thing. Okay, so here I was hoping that maybe this one is thinner. That's why the battery is just 1,000 milliampere hours bigger. But no, they're the same. So battery-wise, I mean, it's still a great battery. I don't want to take away from that. But when the Plus version has nearly the identical battery size, just differing by like 10%, then yeah, I start to see a problem, considering surface area size right here is more than 10% that they could have utilized. So not sure what they did that for, considering everything else is about the same. So sticking with the internals, we have 256 gigabytes of built-in storage with 12 gigs of RAM, but unlike the 16, this one caps at 1 terabyte and 16 gigs of RAM. The option before that is 512 gigs, which again is the same thing that you can get on the Plus version of this tablet. So the only terabyte 16 is the standing out kind of storage RAM option right here. And in both of those cases, I think 16 gigs of RAM with 1 terabyte of storage is just a massive overkill. And in addition, when buying such a device, you will be paying an absorbent amount of Samsung tax, what you could call, for the additional 4 gigabytes of RAM and additional half a terabyte of storage. Now, but a terabyte of storage costs like what, less than $100? I don't even need to check the prices to know that this will be triple or quadruple the price. So yeah, that kind of falls apart right here, but it's the typical scam of almost every manufacturer of like devices like this, tablets, phones, and stuff like that. So nothing really surprising here. There are some standout companies though. So Samsung obviously is not one of those. So continuing on, which again for an Ultra device is kind of a bit weird at first glance, at least it was to me. The processor. This is running a Dimensity 9300 Plus processor. Now, traditionally, or before, Dimensity was the kind of like a more budget version of a processor that was always behind the Snapdragon in terms of performance and stuff like that. But this one, so Dimensity has been picking up in just power and everything. So this one is equivalent to a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, if not even beating it in certain cases. Though the margin of like benchmarks and stuff like that is just minuscule. So in terms of power, let's just say that they're about the same for the sake of this argument. But where it's not the same is the battery life that this offers. So the Dimensity 9300 Plus has a apparently way better battery life, or maybe not way, but better battery life compared to the Snapdragon counterpart of it. So you basically buy a refresh of this tablet and get a Dimensity processor, and that is just going to allow you to run the device for longer, which is all in all a pretty good thing, but it kind of starts to fall apart when considering that I'm pretty sure Dimensity is still the cheaper option. And in terms of price, this device starts at 1,200 euros with a more affordable processor. It might be from Dimensity, but it's still, I would argue, the cheaper option. So Samsung is sticking with the price that they would usually scam out of you, just fleece your pockets without any kind of remorse, giving you something that costs them less, so they're getting now better margin. And you're not really getting that much better product. So yeah. Now continuing on with this, one thing that will be very surprising right here, considering this device isn't thick at all, is the inclusion of SD tray. So, putting that into perspective, this device isn't as thick, at least I don't think so, as the Note lineup of Samsung phones. And the argument there is, we didn't have enough space. While the devices between Notes and like even the S, the smallest S version, is basically the same. The only difference is the size and shape. And apparently they don't have space for SD card on a biggest device that they have, at least in phone category. But they do have space on a tablet that is thinner than the Note lineup. And if you're thinking, oh, but this is the Ultra, the Plus also has it. And we already established that there is a lot of freaking space being wasted here for God knows what. So yeah, there is a bit of weirdness happening with these devices from Samsung. They do have enough space, obviously, to include this, which is apparent based on their tablet lineup. And yeah, so it's just a bullshit excuse. And that's all it is. And obviously other manufacturers have proved that by making basically the same powered phones that do come with an SD card reader. And they had space for it somehow. So yeah. Now, anything else that I didn't mention right here? Let's talk about one more thing. So the reason you might want to pick up such a device, the gargantuan display right here would be probably one of those. The second one is the ability for you to use this as almost like a full-fledged laptop. It comes with the DeX, so you can actually launch this without a secondary display like you have to have for phones from Samsung. So it allows you to use this device like a computer with windows that are resizable, minimizable, and all that stuff. Other than that, it obviously has everything that you'd expect from a device at this price range. We have fingerprint under the display, we have accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity compass, DeX, even SD card reader. Pretty good specifications internally. I'm not talking about cameras. Cameras don't even come close to what I would consider an Ultra device to have. And furthermore, you can obviously get like a keyboard for it, which would add to that feeling of like a, computer kind of aspect. And additionally, even on top of that, I'm pretty sure that I have never tested it. You can use these devices, I think I've seen this at least, as a monitor. So you could connect it to your computer, I think even through the USB-C, and use it as a secondary monitor for your computer, which is a pretty neat feature. And I haven't, like I said, I never tested it, so I don't know how well it works and if it even works. So take that with a grain of salt. But if it is, that's obviously one of the cooler things that you can do with such a device, as it is a pretty decent size screen, and it also has enough power to do everything on its own. And if you want, you can just extend the screen on your computer. So that's, like I said, a pretty good benefit, though paying 1,200 euros, I don't think it's worth a secondary screen kind of logic. So you can get a secondary screen that is powered through USB-C for your computer for fraction of the cost of this one. So yeah, but all in all, it's Samsung. Software the same as you already probably are used to if you used a Samsung before, with again the egregious price and not a charger included in a box, and an improved processor that now allows your device to last a little bit longer. So with that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.